So right here I have some semi-sweet chocolate, but you could use any type of chocolate. You could use white, bittersweet, milk, it doesn't really matter. But what does matter is if you use white or milk, you have to cool it at a different temperature because it's a little fattier. And for dark chocolate, bittersweet and semi-sweet, it's not as fatty because it doesn't have as much cream and stuff, so it's a different temperature. For the dark chocolate, you have to cool it down to a 86 degrees, and for the milk and the white, you have to cool it to a 84 degrees before you reheat it. Yeah. So let's go ahead and get this started. I'm gonna have to melt this down to 110 or 115, anywhere around there. Once it gets to that temperature, just go ahead and cool it down right after. But for now, I'm just gonna melt this down to 110, 115. Okay, so it just finished melting down and it is at a 114 right now. So that is absolutely perfect. So let's get that off the heat. Make sure you wipe it before you put it on the table. So now we are gonna we're gonna cool this down to a 86. So just cool this, and since it's the seeding method, let me go ahead and add some chocolate to this, and that is gonna help it cool down. So for the cooling method, for the seeding method, all you do is you keep adding chocolate till it gets down to the acquired temperature. Alright, so it cooled down to an 86 degrees since we are using semi-sweet, which is a dark chocolate. One problem that you might run into when you're doing the seeding method is how chunky it gets because it doesn't all melt right away. But don't worry if that happens. Most of it will melt away when we heat it up. So let's go ahead and reheat this up. And now we're gonna heat this up to a 88 degrees. As soon as we heat this, as soon as it reaches an 88 degrees, it's perfect for using. And you could dip this in marshmallows, strawberries, blueberries, almost any type of berry, different fruits, Rice Krispie treats, what else? Just about anything really. And it's really nice and shiny, as you can see, although it still has some lumps. And then after it cools down, it'll have a nice snap to it. So let's just finish reheating this up. Alright, so right here, it finally melted all down, and it is perfectly at 88 degrees. And like I said, at this temperature, it's perfect to work on for anything. So let me make a small application of it right here so you guys can see what it looks like. And now just let that set, and then you'll see what it looks like after. Alright, so you saw the seeding method, so I'm going to show you how to do the tabling method now, which is almost exactly the same, except it's different when you're cooling it, which you'll see in just a sec. Alright, so let's go ahead and heat this up. Again, you are going to heat this up to a 110, 115. As soon as that heats up, you're just gonna cool it, and I'll show you guys how to cool it right now as soon as the chocolate finishes melting. Okay, so it just finished melting down, so we're gonna get that off the heat. Again, make sure you wipe it, and make sure that this is a clean surface, because what you're gonna do now is just pour it all on the table. And that's how you're basically just gonna cool it down, just tabling it back and forth, and that's why they call it the tabling method. Alright, so I just finished putting all the chocolate down on the table, and now I'm just going to table this back and forth, working it. And this is all you really do for the tabling method. You just work the chocolate back and forth, and that cools it really fast. This way is actually a lot faster than the seeding method. But I found whenever I do it, I end up getting chocolate all over my apron and on my hands and everywhere. and you're just gonna cool this down to an 86 degrees. As soon as it reaches the 86, you're just gonna scrape it back into the bowl and you're gonna reheat it up. As soon as it heats up, it should be perfect for using again. Alright, so it just cooled down to an 86. So what I'm gonna do now is just scrape it back into the bowl. And this is the part that is the most dreadful for me because I get it everywhere. So just scoop, 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 scoop. Alright, so I finished scooping up all the chocolate in here and it magically disappeared. Alright, so you're just gonna reheat this up to an 88 degrees. As soon as it heats up to an 88, it's perfect to work again. And after you finish tempering it one time, if you do it correctly the first time, you don't have to keep going through this whole process. If it starts cooling off on you, you just have to heat it up to an 88 degrees again, and it's perfect to use again. And if you overheat it, you have to go through the whole process again, and make sure you wipe the bottom every time after you get it off of the stove, because if you get any water droplets inside the chocolate, it's gonna mess up the whole thing. Alright, so it heated up really quick. It's at an 88, so it's perfect again to use for anything, as I mentioned before. And I'm just gonna make a tiny application of it right here, so you know what it looks like when it is cool and stuff. When you're doing stuff like this is a transfer sheet. Since this is a dark chocolate or just brown chocolate, the design is white, so when I peel it off, it'll be on there. But if you were to use white chocolate on this, it would not show up at all, or it'd be really hard to see unless you had a different kind of design. One with a brown pattern on it would be perfect for white chocolate. And they have many different designs, shapes, all that fancy stuff. So yeah, just as soon as that cools off, I'll show you guys what it looks like. Okay, so this one was actually tempered wrong. So if you could see there how it's slightly bumpy, rigidy, it has a little bit of streaks, and I peeled it off of that, so that's how the design looks, only I kind of kept touching it, so it's a little not the nicest. And then the other two I right there, but that's basically what it looks like. Only these are a lot smoother than the other one. Alright, so that was me showing you how to temper chocolate two different ways, the seeding method and tickling method. I personally prefer the seeding method. Again, the other one's way too messy for me, but everyone has their own different preferences. Anyways, thank you for watching and have a great one. One last thing, look,